Good morning. Welcome to our live breakfast session. I'm happy that you all, let's say, joined with so high numbers. Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to talk about intelligent parameter security, and I want to emphasize that word intelligence, but keep that in mind. We will come back to it later. But before we jump into the topic, let's look at some logistics, because as we always do. So, like in previous sessions, you can ask questions via the chat. So you either do that via your chat box, which you see directly in your browser, or you can also scan the QR code and then you can do it via telephone. Whatever makes you more comfortable. The Q&A will be at the end, so there we will try to have as many questions answered, but also in between, if it also fits the topic that we are talking about. It will be very unlikely, but if your live stream is stopping, then please refresh your browser, and that should actually solve the problem. So that's logistics, so let's now start. And before I do that, before I introduce the topics, I first of all want to introduce my guests today. So Rocky, I give the word to you. Can you maybe give a brief introduction?
Sure. Hi, I'm Rocky from Genetec. I'm the application engineer for critical infrastructure for the EMEA region. And yeah, hand over to Vijay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vijay Krishnan. I'm part of the EMEA product marketing team for video systems from Bosch.
Now, thank you, guys. So that's already one part of the intelligence that I was talking about. So I need the support of these two guys in order to make this also an interesting session. So what are we going to talk about today? It's intelligent parameter security. Rocky will give some insights first of all. He, of course, will also talk about the software that Genetec has in store called the Restricted Security Area. Then Vijay will take over and talks about our analytics, because also our analytics or artificial intelligence is an important factor in intelligent parameter security. But software doesn't go without hardware, so also we have a look at some cameras, and then some takeaways, and then we go, as promised, to the Q&A. But before we go and start, let's also put you to work. So a first question to you before we go into our topics is, what are the most important challenges you face regarding parameter security? You see a couple of choices now on the screen. So take your pick. We will give you a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, to see what the first results are, and then let's hope that we can also address these pain points during this session today. So let's see what is coming in. We have already a big score on the minimizing false alerts.
Yeah.
So keep those votes going, guys. And let's see if we see some surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see that people are, and also you already see it, they are joining us from Italy, Belgium, etc. So we definitely are covering the EMEA region. So it's nice, the numbers are going up, already 42 persons that are voting. But I think this already illustrates, and keep on giving in your votes, but I think it already clearly shows where the two main problems lie on the minimizing the false alerts and also, of course, reliable detection. And okay, you will say this is not a coincidence, but these are also the topics that we are going to look into. So let's go to the next slide then. So what will we be addressing? And that's also where this intelligent parameter security comes from. So there are 6 items that you see now on the screen, and those are also the things that Rocky and also Vijay will be talking about. So yes, we will be able to detect over long distances, also reliably in challenging circumstances, weather conditions and the like. We will provide maximum situational awareness, and also Rocky will go into that, how this works, and indeed important, minimizing false alerts, scalable and flexible solutions, and also, and I think that's also one of the key arguments, but Rocky will dive into that, that we provide you more time to respond. So keep that in mind. So Rocky, then I give it to you.
Yes, thank you. So let's first talk a little bit about intelligent perimeter security. What does intelligent mean? Intelligent perimeter security means that the system helps you to understand a little bit more about your scenery. So it's not like a classical pit system where you get informed when somebody is entering your perimeter. So that means somebody is already cutting your fence and is already entering your perimeter. We try to more or less give the operator the possibility to serve the area, survey the area in front of their fence. So that means get the information what is outside your perimeter. So you have more time to respond on it or work on it as an operator. So this gives you more time to figure it out if it's a real threat or not, if it's a friendly target or an enemy. So here we have our 3 lines. The blue line is what we call the buffer zone or the detection zone or the, let's call it the figure out zone. Also then the green thing is the fence line where your actual perimeter starts. So that means this is the zone where someone really enters your perimeter. And of course behind we have another area for sensitive areas like the data center entrance or where your gas storage is and all that stuff. All those we combine in RSA with, or we are able to combine it with different sensors and also with different technologies to have the maximum of accuracy on the field and on these areas.
And that's also the essence. So basically the combination of those 3 sections. So you said it, the green part, that's more typically also the physical fence of which also then is, of course, supported with an intelligent detection. But it is especially the blue and the purple or pink, whatever you want to call it, zones that actually make a big difference.
Right. So as we said already, it's really easy to use because we help the operator to work on a threat. That means we always choose the right camera for him, so he don't have to do it on his own. So the positive thing is he don't have to think about which camera should I choose, what is the right camera. The system does it for him, so he don't have to think about things twice, right? So we get always on target. Of course, as I said already, there's more time to respond on it because he sees the threat coming from far away and not when it's actually entering the perimeter. Also, the efficiency will be increased a lot, and of course, reduce costs on it.
Yeah, and that's interesting, what you say, the convenience part, so that you don't have to think as an operator which camera to switch. That's then the intelligence again in the solution that helps you.
Right, and helps also with the decision you have to make as an operator. What does it mean in detail? More time to respond. More time to respond means especially that we always have the real-time geolocation of the threat or of the object, so we can follow it through our whole perimeter. Also, we can filter out the unimportant alarms or unimportant targets and focus on and really target on the important ones. Also, there's an object classification, which we get here from the IVA. If it's a car, if it's a person, undefined object and that. So you don't have to think about what it is. As an operator, you already get the information when you look on the map or on the system. You already see it's a person, it's a car entering, and I don't have to double check it more or less. So I always get the information straight on from the system. Never lose track, as I already said. The system chooses the right camera for me as an operator, so I don't have to think about it. And also, if the target is moving on from the zone A to the zone B, for example, the system will automatically hand over to the right camera. So I don't have to do this as well. And of course, if it's a PTZ camera, we control the PTZ camera and following the target. If it's a fixed camera, we just overhand to the next. And of course, you can do the forensic search afterwards. If you
in
need
case something happens.
In case something happens, you can do it. It's not a problem. And of course, the good thing is, as we work in zones, or let's call it areas, we can work it 24/7. That means maybe at the working time, the outside perimeter is not that important. It's more the inside areas or important inside areas. So we can arm them, like with access control or just schedule on it and timeline as well. And if the working day ends, we activate automatically the outside area or arm the outside area. And if you want, disarm the inside area or keep it armed again. So we have 2 armed areas. If needed.
But also completely virtual eventually, so don't even need other hardware where you say, okay, if you have cameras anyway, point them to sensitive areas, and also during business hours where you maybe park your trucks or have construction material which is highly sensitive, that you get also warnings when people go there.
That's the beauty of the system, right? So you don't have to have a brick wall or a fence. It's all virtual, so you don't see it. It's only there for the operator and for your security. But it doesn't bother the employees or the visitors. So
no, exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a
It
great
works
thing.
for you silently.
Right. But what is needed for it? So needed for it, first of all, of course, it's the Genetec RSA software part. Of course, we need to feed our software with information like the geoposition, like the classification of the target,
Yeah.
the movement. All that information we get from you guys from the IVA.
Yeah.
So the IVA is needed as well.
Yes.
And of course, the hardware from your side, the cameras,
Yeah.
sensors are needed as well.
Yeah.
So these are the three main things to run a system like that.
Yeah, so this is basically already a short, let's say, sort of short summary of the shopping list.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go to a demo.
Yeah, exactly. So let's maybe then switch to your laptop because
Yeah.
we want to show, and in this case, okay, we have pre-recorded a couple of cool stuff that we want to show you today. And yeah, Rocky, you're going to show in real life how the restricted security area works in combination with the cameras and the analytics that we just spoke about.
Yes.
So then, up to you.
Thanks. At this video, we'll go over the target tracking so that we see how the target will be tracked over the map and over the different areas. Also, we do a threat qualification. Threat qualification is a little bit different to a classification. So the classification means it's a person, it's a car.
Yeah.
And the threat qualification is it's a friendly car, is it an enemy car, or maybe undefined. It could be undefined as well, but it can be named by the customer. So it's not on us. So they can name it employees, wild animals, whatever happens on the perimeter, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the automatic camera handover, we already talked about it, and the area management, what we talked, business hours, non-business hours.
Yeah, yeah, and especially also what is, I believe, also written here on the slide, or basically what we see is that especially the early detection, making use of the buffer zone.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see if it works.
Let's see if it works. Here we see the dashboard or GUI of RSA in Genetec Security Center.
Yeah, and that's already the first thing that you know I would notice is that it's completely map-based. So you're not looking at the classical, if I can call it classical screens. It's literally what we are almost used to in our cars driving. So a map, and you see positions on the map.
Right. Here you have the map. The map is georeferent. You need it to get the RSA working on it for the coordination and GPS locations. On the left side, we see the target and the zone info panel, where we get informed about all the targets coming up. And of course, you see here the intrusion zone. The intrusion zone is armed, and we have fixed cameras with IVA working on, and a MIC for the PTZ. And a target zone. The target zone here is similar to the buffer zone.
Yeah,
so you can name it target zone, buffer zone, however you want to do it. It's at the end, it's the same.
Yeah, but that's also important, because if I look at the screen, it's the, let's say, lighter green part with the green outline, which is pretty far. Let's say it's a pretty huge area compared to the dark green part.
Right. Also, we have the field of view of the cameras, which is the lighter green angle in front of the cameras. And here the target appears. We instantly get the information of the target on the left side with all the information. We will see it later on. At the moment, it's just a target, so it's not that it's a friend or it's a foe. It's a target for us, right?
Yeah.
And also we get the information where it comes from, and of course the video for it.
Yeah, because that you see that in the left corner there. Yeah.
Automatically opens with the right camera for the right angle to see the target in the best way. And as an operator, I can now verify if it's a friend or an enemy or it's undefined. If I click now here, in this case, it's an enemy, so I click on it. So automatically, it colors the target into red.
Yeah.
Also on the left side, where I see all my targets. And when it's now moving in the buffer zone, nothing happens because it's still in the buffer zone, right? But when it goes from the buffer zone to the alarm zone, it will raise an alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the moment it enters. Also, you see now entering. And instead, the color changed from green to red. So the alarm zone is now detecting the enemy or the target detected in the alarm zone. And you also see here the let's call it blue, the blue line behind the target. That's the target path.
Yeah.
So you always can see as an operator where the target comes from.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you will see or get the best camera or with the best angle. And you, as you can see here, you get the speed information from the target. You also get the direction. Also get the altitude. In this case, not because it's a person running on the ground. But for example, if there's a drone flying in, you get the altitude of it as well. And you see the status. The status is the target is still active. And of course, the timestamp.
Yeah.
And the camera will automatically track the target on his way. And choose always the best camera for it. Here, we're just controlling the PTZ, the MIG, and following the target. The next video we have is how we can save time with the threat qualification.
Yeah, so basically the example that you just showed with being it an enemy or
Right.
the fight still, or
Right.
indeed, a friend.
A friend, right. So we have the same scenario as we have before. Buffer zone, a target shows up. The zone, the alarm zone is armed. The camera automatically point out to the target. And now the operator marks it as green, so it's a friend. So you see the object gets green. And when he now enters the alarm zone, no alarm will show up. But I still see him on the map, or the target or the object on the map. So I don't lose track, even if it's a friend. So I know where my friends are, I know where my enemies are. So I always have all the information I need for my perimeter or for my object. Of course, even if it's a friend, we will record the target path that we can see where he comes from. But now he enters the alarm zone and there's no alarm coming up. So it stays green and stays armed.
But that's then the good thing, because that's also then, if I understand correctly, where the time saving is coming from. So now you mark this person or this object as a friend. So yes, you can keep track of it, but it doesn't raise an alert. So,
Right.
So you can't do other things as an operator, basically.
And as we saw before, minimize the false alarms.
Yeah.
It's also possible with this situation because I marked it as a friend, so I don't take care of it anymore.
Yeah.
If I would, I can look at it and I can follow him, but I don't need to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's interesting.
Then, as we talked before, never lose track on the target. At the next demo video, we will go a little bit deeper on the automatic camera handover and also on the target fusion. Target fusion means it's in RSA. For example, you have two cameras or two sensors, and the target entering from the right side and goes to the overlapping sensor on the other side.
Yeah.
Sometimes the overlapping is not that accurate, let's say, and it would raise another target. So we would have two targets on the map, but it's only one person, right? And that's the reason why we have the target fusion, and it fuses those two targets to one target, because it's one target, right? So at this video, you see the person already entered the alarm zone. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is the one field of view from this camera sensor, and here's the other one. And when the person's now going through the first, you also can see the handover, the automatic camera handover. But now he enters the second angle or view of the second sensor, and it creates a second target, but it's the same person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you will get two alarms, but it's a false alarm because it's only one target or one person or one object.
Yeah, but what you're now showing me, that's typically what could happen if you have, let's say, a system that works with cameras that are pointed in a certain direction. And basically, can, of course, because you can't control it to the full extent, can double detect, basically.
Right.
And that's, again, I think, where the intelligence comes from this solution, that if it is one and the same object, let's say take one of them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's the next video. And now we turned on the target fusion.
Yep.
Same scenario, same video. Object entering the alarm zone, goes from one angle to the other. Of course, we have the auto tracking with the mic, and as you can see, there is no other target raising.
Yeah.
So it's just one target, same video, same scenario, but with target fusion on. So we realize that it's only one person, and then we automatically delete the other.
Yeah.
Or not delete it, we just ignore it.
You fuse it.
We basically
Yeah.
fuse it.
But that's an interesting thing, because that of course has a substantial impact on potential false alerts, double countings, these types of things.
Right.
So, and actually to that, because I'm looking at the screen in the meantime here, and I think that also nicely fits to what we are discussing here. So the question that comes in is here: how can you make the difference between a friend and an enemy? Are there certain qualifiers? Can you set it up automatically, or is it something that you do manually?
So the threat qualification I always have to do manually as an operator.
Yeah.
Because the classification will be done by the IVA, if it's a person or a car or anything else. But as an operator, I have to verify that it's an employee of the company or it's not, and he has to do the qualification if it's a friend or an enemy.
Yeah, exactly. Would it be possible, basically, that are there certain, let's say, metadata that is going to be provided by the video analytics that could trigger the switch, or are you saying it's always a manual thing? So we want to have this visual verification by an operator that basically then decides if the object, being a person, being a car, is either friendly or a foe.
So at the moment, it's manually.
Yeah, okay.
So you have, as an operator, you have to do the qualification. Because the problem is, for example, if there is a person entering the compound of the company with his badge, you're not even sure if it's the right person, right? Because he could stole the badge of your colleague and entering the perimeter without the permissions. You just have the badge, right? So I still have to do the verification on the employee while he's entering.
Yeah, which also makes sense, and especially because we are talking about intelligent perimeter security, and typically also for more, let's say, call it high-risk projects or installations. So you want to have that, call it double identification, that you have a person really looking, because it's what you say. Yeah, indeed, people can, let's say, steal badges or something else, which basically then gives them the normal credentials to get in, but they shouldn't get in. So.
Same scenario. I steal Vijay's car.
Yeah.
Entering the Bosch parking space.
Good choice. Yeah.
It's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
And then I could enter the perimeter, and I'm in the Bosch perimeter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I get out of the car, I will be a target on the RSA map, and then the operator can choose or verify if it's a friend or an enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
It could also be a case where you have a known security guard walking in at a particular time, and then you know that, okay, this person should be here, and then you mark him as a friend, you know?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There could be different scenarios.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and basically also let's make sure that you are a little bit now getting into work mode, Vijay. Is that because we were talking about handover, etc. And the question that comes in here is the handover to the PTZ done by the software of Genetec, or is it also something that the analytics or the intelligent tracking of the camera plays a role?
In this case, it is the analytics or let's say the tracking is done by Genetec. We could also use the intelligent tracking which is on the camera on our PTZ Bosch cameras. Yeah. But for the particular example we showed here, it was more Genetec taking charge of the tracking, because as metadata we provide the GPS location, and based on that it can then track.
But basically it's a little bit depending then, if I understand it correctly, on the application you can choose either or, but in this example, let's be clear, it is Genetec that makes sure that we are switching from the one to the other camera.
Yeah.
Yes. What happens? It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a trick question.
Okay.
So, but let's see.
Let's see.
You know, what happens if a camera has more than one target to track?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay,
yeah.
let's kill the question.
No.
So we always take care about the last target entering the perimeter.
Yeah. So basically, if you have 2 targets, so the last one comes in, that is
Right.
then the one that we
Right.
will focus on. And then related to that, if you mark a person as a friend,
Yeah.
how long does the setting last? And can you easily unfriend? Yeah, I had to read it twice. I thought it's like Facebook, you know, friends, and how can I basically de-invite people? But so how long does it stay in that mode? And can you also indeed then, because I think that's the question, make a friend an enemy again?
Relation status, it's very complicated, right?
Yeah, check the profile. Yeah.
You can unfriend it.
Yeah.
Just click on it and go back to enemy, undefined, whatever. So you can unfriend in RSA.
Yeah, but going to the first part of that question that we just let's say addressed, is that the setting, once you chose first of all to making it a friend,
Yeah.
it basically stays until you change it probably.
Or we lose the tracking on the target.
Yeah, okay.
Or the target disappear.
Yeah.
So as long as we track the target, the status will be there.
Exactly.
And saved.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay.
So what we saw from RSA was just a little reminder, was the target tracking, the automated camera tracking and handover, which was done by Genetec in this example. Mm-hmm. Of course, you could do it with the MIG or cameras from you as well.
Yeah.
The fusion path, what we saw with the 2 targets.
Yeah.
The threat qualification, which was the unfriend and
exactly, yeah.
friend one. Area management, buffer zone, alarm zone. There's no limitation on zones, so you could draw as many zones as you want. You could do a buffer zone and a buffer zone in front if needed. But of course, there are other benefits with RSA we didn't speak about, like investigation. So everything you see live, you can also see in the recordings. Also seeing the live tracking in the recordings, the path of the target as well. Of course, you could use other sensors as well if needed. You could create heat maps out of the entering from your perimeter, where's the most intrusion happens, so you could create a perimeter on that. So there are a lot of possibilities with RSA.
But I think if you look at what is actually mentioned here on the right-hand side, so the investigation and also the different, so basically call it maybe forensics to a certain extent, I think that's maybe also something, if I understood it correctly, also something that we want to stress here. We are talking about intelligent parameter security. Yeah. So in this case, it's more about the things that are on the left-hand side, because what we are trying to do and what actually makes the system so intelligent is that we want to be as early as possible, making maybe, let's say, something like forensics maybe a little bit overdue anyhow, because you have an early warning system, there is a buffer zone, you detect very early, so you give people more time to respond.
Right.
And then maybe investigations afterwards are not even necessary.
Absolutely true, but sometimes, for example, the shift leader of the operators wants to see where all the targets come in, or where was the most intrusion happens at my perimeter, maybe to more secure this area or more guard this area in specific. So that's the reason why investigation is also important.
Yeah, of course, you always.
But you're right. I mean,
we will always have a reason to go back to whatever we recorded or the data that has been collected.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a little bit the part on the software.
Yeah.
I think we stay with software at the moment. So I think let's have a look at what we call IVA, or Intelligent Video Analytics.
Yes. So thanks, Rocky. What we also have in the cameras, or let's call it sensors, which fits perfectly into this intelligent perimeter security, is also the IVA Pro that we have inbuilt in the Bosch cameras. We have 3 variants of these application-based AI analytics. There is the IVA Pro Buildings, there's the IVA Pro Perimeter, and then there's the IVA Pro Traffic. Today,
and you make it sound, Vijay, as this is something that we already did for years, but IVA Pro is actually brand new, eh?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Like I mentioned, it is application-based AI analytics that we have on the camera, and we have defined it based on the applications that we fitted.
Exactly.
And today the focus is on the IVA Pro Perimeter that we have inbuilt in the camera. So the intelligent video analytics as a technology, it can detect objects. It can understand the object movements in the scene. It can classify the objects, but in addition to that, it can also provide you the GPS coordinates, or let's say the speed data, which you would have seen earlier is very important for the RSA mapping as well. All of this together then provides the operator with all the deep understanding of the scene, based on which he can then take an action on what needs to be done in that particular scene. So that's the intelligence that is there in the camera.
Yeah, so basically also what you're saying, and also linking it to what Rocky said earlier, that the detection of the object, the classification of it, also giving metadata like speed, GPS coordinates, etc. That's all coming from the sensor in this case, or from the analytics, and that is then being worked on and consolidated in the RSA software.
Yeah.
Yes, and the IVA Pro perimeter is ideal or well suited for let's say long-range detection along the perimeter. For example, let's say in a building perimeter or a critical infrastructure site or an energy facility or an airport. All these applications where you have long distances to cover, that's where the IVA Pro perimeter fits perfectly. Yeah, I have a few examples which I can show you, which actually shows the videos on what distances can be covered with the camera. So here is an example of a video where a person is walking at the perimeter, let's say at a fence, and even at 80 meters, we are able to clearly detect and classify. Even at 100 meters, you see that the classification is quite good. The best part is it's not just in ideal lighting conditions. This is actually quite a dark scene where we have the IR illuminator switched on from the camera, and you see that even up to 160 meters, it can detect to quite a large extent. So that's the whole beauty of the Pro perimeter, that to large distances you can cover with this application.
Because we were talking about in the beginning, we said it's intelligent. We want to give people more time to respond, and I think one of the essential things is that you, Rocky, told we can create this buffer zone, target zone, I believe you also called it.
Yeah.
But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, so you can basically put a sort of, call it virtual fence.
Yeah.
Way out your physical fence, and you just said it, Vijay, if we use one of our cameras with the Intelligent Video Analytics Pro, up to 160 meters. So then I'm thinking, so that means that already 160 meters before my fence, I will already be able to tell there is something coming.
Right.
Yeah.
That's of course a huge advantage compared to someone who's already, let's say, cutting the barbed wire, so then he's already at my fence.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. But in addition to that, what our analytics is also based on advanced subtraction algorithms. So what it can do is it can also detect crawling, it can detect rolling, or any suspicious movements which happens inside, outside, or near the perimeter, but also in adverse environmental conditions. Let's say if there's a lot of rain or windy conditions, or if low light conditions. Yeah. So that's also important, because it's not just like we saw in the poll. It's about minimizing the false alarms.
Yeah, because what you're saying, it can be that you early detect something, but it can still be that once the object is closer to your physical fence, his behavior also starts changing. So maybe we saw someone as, it's probably a friend, or maybe nothing to care about, but when he starts crawling, then maybe that's a little bit suspicious behavior, and then the system needs to detect. And
interestingly, I have a video as well for that, which we did. So here in the left top corner, you see the Bosch camera. We actually did it with some other competition technologies just to see how good we were. And you can clearly see that when the person is crawling, it easily detects, it detects the motion, and then once the person stands up, it classifies it as a person. That's at 30 meters as well. You clearly see it starts detecting, and then you see that the classification is a person.
I see not so much happening when I look at competitor A and B.
That's the difference, and that's the technology that you're seeing. So the camera we actually used here is the bullet camera with the 4 megapixel. What we also did is at long distances. So at 110 meters, you could see the person crawling. It detected it, and once he stood up, you could classify it as well. Similarly, in the low light conditions, which I mentioned earlier, this is with the IR light on, and then you would see a similar example.
Yeah, exactly. So actually adverse circumstances, it's the lighting is not ideal. So in some cases you're even working with IR lighting, but still detecting. And that's also the essence. So when someone is crawling, you detect it, you start classifying it once the object actually stands up and basically behaves like a person.
Yes. Yeah. But then to your question, which you asked earlier, that why is that in other competitors you don't see this technology, and that's where it comes. That's where, let's say, Bosch has a DNA of intelligence, inbuilt in them. Bosch as an organization has more than 20 years of experience in video analytics algorithm development, and that is mainly from, we have more than about 120 R&D specialists who are working on this deep learning computer vision technology. As you know, Bosch has many divisions, and in all these divisions, we are using these deep learning algorithms, be it for autonomous driving or driver assistance systems, robotics, or video analytics for our cameras. For all of these divisions, we use the same algorithms. And that's why we see that our technology is quite reliable also in adverse environmental conditions. And that's what gives us this edge over in terms of analytics.
So to recap that a little bit, so what you're saying, so we have a bunch of very intelligent guys, let's call it like that. They are working on, let's say, deep learning computer vision. My understanding, so basically the knowledge to basically extract data from video footage, so to understand the scenes better. And what you are saying to me is that that technology that is actually researched and also developed by these, let's say 120 or more than 120 specialists, is actually used in different fields. So it's the same technologies that we base ourselves on. So if we trust our car to do the right thing, we should also trust our camera.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, then again, let's ask you a little bit about where do you see intelligent parameter security being applied. So you have a couple of choices here again. So go back to your chat function and let us know what you think where you would see most use for intelligent parameter security. And again, we see the first results coming in.
Yeah.
I'm now waiting until I see a number around 40, 45, or 50, because that also gives a little bit of an indication if we lost people in the meantime. So, but it's interesting that, it is also going there where we would expect it. So hey, there is the 40 number.
Yes, the magical number.
Yeah,
magical number.
And keep on voting, guys, because it's also interesting for us to understand how you see the situation. So it's also in that respect interesting data for us. But I think it's very clear. So intelligent parameter security, clearly critical infrastructure, and also airports that are being chosen. And I think, Vijay, if we go back to the slides, that's also something that you can say something more about.
Yes. So the intelligent perimeter security as a solution, what we showed today, fits into a lot of different verticals and applications. Like we saw in the poll, buildings could be one. Critical infrastructure, key, where you have long perimeters, where you want to cover critical infrastructure. Transportation, it could be airports, railways, ports, anything with long perimeter. I think that this fits perfectly. What it does is it improves the proactive response for the operators based on early detection. So early detection is the key. And like we showed you in the example, it clearly shows that we can detect early, and based on that, you can then decide how to respond. So you increase the proactiveness of the response. Secondly, it reduces the time and the cost involved with handling false alarms. Right in the beginning, we saw minimizing false alarms as one of the key things. And that also is kind of managed in this situation, absolutely. So that there is an ROI as well in that, because you reduce the time and effort and the cost, because each time you get an alarm, there is a set of procedures that need to be done from an operator. So you save cost easily on that.
Yeah, and Rocky already showed it with Fusion, so that's already something that basically kicks in. Also, indeed, classifying people as the threat level. You showed already adverse circumstances that we already tested with lighting and other circumstances that still brings reliable detection. So those are all elements that would lead then to less false alerts, or let's say call it more real alerts.
Exactly. And at the same time, it also elevates protection for sensitive areas, because you can create now virtual zones. You can create it based on timing or any area that you want to protect, because it has sensitive information, or let's say sensitive items that are being set there. And also you can create buffer zones. So based on that, you can actually have certain areas within your infrastructure which you want to protect. And that can also be achieved with this intelligent perimeter security. So that's the added advantage as well that you have.
But we showed already a little bit of a shopping list. We said it earlier, the ABC, so RSA, we already ticked that box. We talked about IVA Pro. But I think there is another element. So we need some hardware to basically make sure that our software is also able to perform in different circumstances. And I think there we want to, let's say, watch a small video on one of the cameras that would, according to our opinion, ideal for perimeter security. So let's start with the Autodome video. Yeah, I think Vijay, nothing more to say, or already is pretty impressive. But I think there are some points you want to highlight.
Yeah, this is the Autodome 7100i IR, the latest camera from the PTZ portfolio that we have, which we believe fits perfectly into the perimeter application for tracking, zooming in into any high security application. What as a camera, what it brings is it already has the application specific, which I mentioned earlier, the IVA Pro perimeter installed in the camera. Yeah, but in addition to that, it can capture high quality images even in low light conditions. With this camera, we have now also introduced an IR model for the PTZ. So even in low light conditions where there is 0 lux, you could still use an IR model. It comes in 2 megapixels and in higher resolutions as well. The other part is also, which is key, is the robust design. It has a new closed loop drivetrain mechanism, which actually which ensures that it never loses its homing position. And that is key, because you're going to have a lot of presets, and you should never lose your homing position, because if you lose that, then you lose all your presets as well. So that's another important thing. It's easy to install, but at the same time, it has a secure element in it from a data security perspective, and it has the highest build quality. So that covers kind of the whole PTZ, the latest PTZ that we have, which fits into the perimeter application.
And from my understanding, the homing position you just, because that's something that now triggers me, so the homing position you talked about, that is also something that I believe is also very important alongside parameters, also in traffic situations where you have, let's say, adverse weather conditions, vibrations may be caused by traffic or something else, because that is also what you're referring to when it is, let's say, losing or sometimes losing homing position, because it can basically put the camera a little bit off.
And then the presets change accordingly.
Yeah, and that is something that you don't have with the Autodome. Okay.
Absolutely, you got it right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning something today. But I believe there is another one you want to watch.
There's one more video that we would like to watch, which is for the fixed camera portfolio.
Okay, so let's go to the next video. Yeah, Vijay, that's also pretty impressive, and you know, sometimes we easily step over the let's say what we would call even indoors hygiene factors, like the Starlight X I saw, the IR, etc. But those are also important elements, because you showed earlier in the comparison videos that you also need to have the right technology on board in your hardware, basically being the camera or the sensor. That of course delivers you that capability, because our intelligence, our analytics are as good as the camera can perform.
Yes, absolutely. And the videos that you saw earlier, which were captured, were based on this camera. This is the Dinian 7100i Bullet camera. perfect fit for the applications that we're talking about today, for reliable detection and for classification. Yeah.
So you already delivered the proof. So this one
Yes.
was what you showed
Absolutely.
earlier.
Yeah, this is the one which we showed earlier for the videos as well. It comes with the IBA Pro perimeter already inbuilt in the camera or installed on the camera. But like you mentioned, it has exceptional imaging quality because we have our Bosch technologies all in it, like the Starlight X for the low light,
Yeah.
HDRX for the dynamic lighting situations that can happen in a scene, intelligent IR with a let's say the range of up to 120 meters. That is quite a strong USP for the camera. It also has a lot of modularity which we have brought onto the camera. So you can change the IR lights which are available with white lights. You can also have a polarizing filter if you need, if you have reflections. So we bring a lot of modularity so that with the same camera you can do a lot of different things. Yeah. It has a robust design. It has the resistance and the shock resistance, vibration, corrosion, all these standards are met. Super easy to install, and that's also a USP for the camera because the amount of time you need to install a bullet camera can be high based on the angles, but here we have a swivel design which makes it really easy to install the camera.
I believe you even made a comparison where people can see how easy it is compared to maybe some other offerings in the marketplace. But if you're interested, then you can of course always reach out to VJ.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what I want to, so if you have questions for the guys, then keep them going. So put them in the chat because we are almost to our Q&A part. So so let's make sure that all your questions you have, that those are in. I think there is something else you want to emphasize.
Yes. The last point here, which was on data security, and that also brings me to the next most important part, is we talk about perimeters, we talk about critical infrastructure. One of the key things that we also, as the joint solution from Bosch and Genetec, is we focus on data security. And that is one of our key USPs that we want to position as well. And that's very important as well for such sites that we have. Both Bosch and Genetec have achieved the UL 2900-2-3 Level 2 Cyber Security certification. What this certification means is that it performs the necessary penetration tests on the products for any vulnerabilities and also has the appropriate methods to manage any cybersecurity vulnerabilities, which could happen. So that's key because, as you know, if it's a critical infrastructure, you are always under the threat of these cybersecurity or data leaks that can happen. And then this becomes a key topic. So from Bosch and from Genetec side, we provide an end-to-end data secure solution. And that's also a key topic that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, you're right. And let's also face the facts. You know, the more intelligent the camera becomes, the more data that we are collecting with all the cameras. That of course raises questions about, hey, what about my data? Is the data easy accessible? Also to someone that should not be able to watch it, etc. And I think that is also covered by what you show here. So the UL certificate, that's actually the proof from the market that we live up to certain standards.
Yeah.
Okay, that's slowly but gradually, also looking at the time, slowly but gradually brings us to the last part of the whole presentation of the live stream in this case. And that is actually, okay, what did we address during this session? And I think we already repeated it a couple of times during the live stream, is that clearly I think that the things that you see now mentioned, the long distance detection, minimizing the false alerts, also indeed being able to reliably detect in challenging situations, etc. The situational awareness with the nice map view, with the GPS coordinates, which gives you at a glance an easy understandable picture. And of course, especially, and again I want to emphasize, especially the ability to provide you more time to respond thanks to the early warning, thanks to the target zone or the buffer zone, whatever we want to call it. So I think, yeah, clearly a couple of tick in the boxes in this case, and I think also what was stressed in the poll at the beginning, detection over long distances, but especially also reliability and the minimizing false alerts. I think, yeah, if you ask me, guys, I think it came across, but you out there, you are the ones that are actually judging. So I think these are the main takeaways, which then also brings us to our next part, and that's then the Q&A. And hey, lucky for us, because otherwise we would now be out of job. There are some questions coming in here.
That's good.
So let's see. can we prioritize different alarm zones? I think it's more a question related to you, Rocky.
Yeah, it's possible to prioritize different alarm zones. Also, it's possible to put a filter on an alarm zone. For a classification, that means that buffer zone 1 doesn't alert when there are cars coming in, because it's the parking space, for example. Okay. But if there are people walking around, we will raise alarms or alerts. So we can have filters and prioritization on the different zones.
Yeah, so basically prioritization in the sense of, okay, what would be the most risky area? So that would be priority 1. And the filter, if I understand, you can also give it context. So you know, a parking lot is a parking lot, so you expect cars. So don't trigger me.
Right.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is also an interesting, and I think you can take it both. So you can also give a joint answer. What would you consider as critical infrastructure? I understand it's a container term, so.
I give it to Vijay.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, when we talk about critical infrastructure, it could be energies, utilities, it could be a nuclear power plant. You know, it's quite a broad term.
Yeah.
But like it's more to do with it could be even a government site could be a critical infrastructure to that matter. Yeah, or let's say a military site. It could be a mix of stuff. Yeah, but. Yeah.
But typically, we are thinking about the installations that are critical for economies and for actually daily business. So indeed, energy,
utilities,
utilities indeed, mining operations, data centers, harbors. So yeah, this type of thing, which is highly critical. Yeah. And what you said earlier, I believe, also that require or have longer parameters.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it keeps on going. So I'm now adrenaline picking here. I think that's an IVA? Not even think. I know for sure it's an IVA Pro question. Does it require a license? And I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. The cameras that we showed today, which was in our let's say in the 7000 series and above, they come as a pre-installed license. Yeah, the camera already has the IVA Pro perimeter installed on the camera.
Exactly.
But if you're looking for, we also have cameras in the 5000 series range, which I mentioned earlier about the buildings, which is the IVA Pro building. It comes installed with that, but with a license, you can always upgrade it to the perimeter as well.
That's a nice, so I pass the next one to Vijay because it's a nice segue into what he just said. Yeah. And then I come back to you, Rocky. You already talked about the 3 Pro, the IVA Pro licenses, or I believe in the meantime we have 4, but okay, let's not go into too much detail, but 3 you mentioned indeed. And here the question comes, how many can you install on the camera? Can you have all 3 on the camera? Because indeed also perhaps the situation, the second part of the question says here, perhaps the situation changes and you want to change from parameter to the building or to the traffic license, but...
Yeah, you can always upgrade your camera to the, let's say, the perimeter variant that you need, and then use it accordingly. Because if we would say that if it's being used for a traffic application, ideally you would need a traffic a variant in it, and then you use it for traffic. Yeah, the same camera might not be used for a perimeter application in that point of view. But what the important part is, we provide you the flexibility to choose what kind of license.
But basically, what you're saying, so even so, I think let's also be clear on the answer. So you can have 3 licenses on the camera installed at the same time. Yeah. But what you're saying is that even if you want to switch from the one to the other, let's say license, you also have to think about the installation of the camera and how it is already set up, because it could be not maybe ideal for the next application.
Yes.
I promised Rocky to come back to you. Is there a possibility to do demos with the RSA?
Sure.
I think you already are traveling to Italy.
Yeah, next week. We have a great opportunity to do demos with RSA and the Bosch hardware. We build a tower together, where we can show it outside of a perimeter, outside of a customer site, and really demo it in a live scenario. So not a PowerPoint just showing videos.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we can do it in a live environment, and there are 2 fixed cameras installed.
Yeah. So So the we like Rocky mentioned, we have an RSA tower which is easy, mobile. We can use it. It has 2 fixed cameras on it. It has a PTZ, And all the recordings that you saw was me and Rocky doing it as well. So,
I didn't want to give that away because you were also the one crawling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think important here also, and that's also an invitation to you guys out there. I think clearly answered. So demo possibilities we have. I believe we even have built ourselves a nice demonstration tool to do so.
Yeah.
So if you have a need for those demonstrations, send in your request. You can use the regular channels. So you can also use the channels that you also use for this live stream. So let us know, because then we can also see how we can set it up and that we arrange a demo somewhere close by to where you're sitting.
Sure.
Or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also like this one, especially because there is a smiley behind it. If a camera breaks down, and then now the part comes that I like, which of course never happens with Bosch, but can you then easily transfer all the settings, such as GPS, IVA lines, etc., from the old camera to a new one? Or do you have to re-enter all the settings?
From a camera perspective, you can do that because you can have the configuration saved and then reload it onto a new camera. That can be done.
Yeah.
On the Genetec side, Rocky?
We just have to add the camera as a new sensor, because it's a new sensor for the system.
Correct. Yeah.
And maybe to do a little bit adjustments on the angle, on the position, but then it should be fine.
So even, and I'm happy that you said it will not happen, but when it happens, it seems also pretty easy to replace.
It is.
It's funny because once in a while you see, let's say, recurring questions, and I see here LPR.
Oh, okay.
So can LPR be used in the buffer zone to detect a security car? So basically here then the more generic question, can we use license plate recognition? But then we are coming back probably also to classifying and the threat qualification.
Mm-hmm. So the license plate recognition, it's possible in Genetec, but it's another part, another model of Genetec.
Yeah.
And to filter out the car with the license plate when it enters the perimeter, I mean, technical-wise it's possible, but we need to work a little bit on it, because at the moment we don't have it possible out of the box.
Yeah.
But I mean, the license plate is a credential, right?
Yeah,
like a access control badge, like everything else. Correct. So we can use it as a credential. Yeah. And then of course arm or disarm zones with it,
So possibilities, yes, but needs a little bit of tailoring.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, this makes me laugh because there was a question that we already anticipated. So I'm trying to see which ones I'm going to, because we still have only a couple of minutes left. So okay, let's put the question in that we already expected. Can you add the new IP horn loudspeakers? I think this is someone that already is pretty knowledgeable about the business in this perimeter security system.
Yeah, the new IP horn loudspeaker can be added.
Yeah.
That's something we also tested. Rocky itself tested it. Maybe you can add to that, Rocky.
Yeah, the new loudspeaker is added into Genetec, but it's not part of RSA. It's part of Sipelia in Genetec. Yeah. But of course, it's another model here. Yeah. But of course, you can use the loudspeaker for example, for your buffer zone. If someone enters the buffer zone and you qualify it as a threat or as a foe, you can have an automatically answer or pre-recorded
message,
right on the loudspeaker and send it out.
Yeah. So extra measure to scare people off.
Right.
That they have to turn the other way.
Yes.
So I think that's also an interesting one. So and that goes more to RSA, is that if there are two targets covered with two cameras in the same zone, can you select one target per camera? It's an interesting question, huh?
It's an interesting question.
And I think, so basically what we are saying here, so we have two targets, two cameras in the same zone, and can you then select one camera? But
if it's on the same camera, you already have the two targets on the camera.
On the map,
right? On the map. I mean, I can click as an operator, if there are two targets detected by one sensor, I of course can choose the one I want to see, and then the system again looks for me for the right camera with the right angle. Mm-hmm. And if the target starts moving, of course, the automatic camera handover steps in. So I will get the next available camera or the best available camera. Yeah. But if I click on let's say on the other target, which is still staying there, the system will switch back to the other camera.
Looking at the time, guys, there are still some questions coming in, and keep them going because we will also then afterwards, during the wrap-up, and also sending you some thank you information, also cover those questions if needed. So yeah, that brings me actually to the last part of this live stream before we end it, and that's actually, we had already 3 polls, so the last time I'm asking your votes, but that is now more related to how you felt that we did. Did you learn what you wanted to learn about intelligent parameter security? So give us your votes, and then with that, I want to thank you here from Eindhoven. Thank you for watching, and until next time.